Hey there, lovely. If you're a driven and highly ambitious woman who has checked all the boxes, followed all the rules, only to realize you don't actually feel fulfilled or you don't feel like you're living your purpose, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Melissa Chavis. I'm an intuitive mindset coach, and I am absolutely obsessed with helping you discover your true purpose, that thing you were put here on this earth to do, so that you can live the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. We are currently on day 2 of basically what has turned into an extension of my kids' winter break. So I'm recording this on a Tuesday. They were supposed to go back to school yesterday, Monday, and school was canceled due to a snowstorm that we had here, and then canceled school again today due to the snowstorm. And so my kids are on day like 18, I think, of winter break. So of course they're loving it. But Dad and I are ready to go back to some routine and schedule over here. So anyway, today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind recently and came up in a conversation that I had a few days ago. The topic I want to discuss is radical responsibility. If you've never heard of this concept before, it's essentially this idea that you need to take responsibility for every single aspect of your current life and your future. So it's very likely that you equate responsibility with fault because most of us do. They're kind of used interchangeably in conversation a lot. They're responsible for this, meaning like they're at fault for this, right? So we kind of interchange the two words. However, it's important to note the difference between these two words for the purpose of today's discussion. Being at fault for something means that you or your actions are the reasons behind a certain result. For instance, if you run a stop sign and hit another car with your car, you are at fault for that accident. So in this situation, you're at fault for the accident. You're also responsible for making sure that your vehicle gets repaired. However, the other individual in the other car is responsible for making sure that their car gets repaired. You're still at fault for the accident, but the other individual is responsible for making sure that all of the logistical pieces get put into place to get their own car repaired. So they're still responsible for getting their own car repaired. You're at fault. They're responsible for making sure that everything happens that needs to happen to get their car repaired. A lot of times, this concept of radical responsibility comes up in the self-development space as it relates to the current beliefs and thought patterns that a person is holding or is operating under. And we know that we develop these beliefs and thought patterns and habits over the period of our lives, a lot of it coming from our childhood when we are essentially like a sponge taking in everything around us. And we do take on a lot of the beliefs and thought patterns of the individuals around us during that period of time. So, a lot of times, this concept of radical responsibility comes up when discussing some of the beliefs or thought patterns that we have essentially taken on from the people around us throughout our lifetimes. Let's just say you hold a subconscious belief that you must struggle to make ends meet. You developed this belief by watching your parents or people in your life struggle constantly to try to make ends meet, to try to pay for the necessities of life. They were constantly struggling to get the money in order to pay for things. So you could say that the reason that you hold this belief, that you think that this is true, is because you watched your parents live out that reality as a child. So you could say that your parents are at fault for you having this belief, right? However, you are still responsible for all of your current beliefs and doing the work necessary to change them if it's something that you want to change, regardless of where they came from. So they're your beliefs, and you must take responsibility for how they play out in your current life. So while someone else may have been the reason that you hold this current belief, you still need to take responsibility for it now in order to actually make the changes in your life that you would like to make. I know that this can kind of seem harsh for a lot of people at first because we're so conditioned to equate responsibility with fault. And you might feel like I'm blaming you by saying that it's your fault that you have these beliefs that are unhelpful for you or that are keeping you from getting a certain result in your life right now. But that is absolutely not the case. In fact, I'm actually not blaming anyone. I don't want to place blame on anybody because the truth is, it's really not helpful to get into a blame game situation. It's not helpful to try to rehash where this came from or why it's playing out in your life this way. What ultimately matters is actually just taking responsibility for the fact that it's there and this is how it's been playing out in your current life. And moving on to how do we change that? How do we make it different? How do we get a different result now? So, radical responsibility on this like very high level is essentially taking responsibility for every aspect of your current situation and taking the actions necessary to change anything that you don't feel is serving you. Taking responsibility for making the changes that you would like to see in your life, regardless of the reasons or the situations in your life that got you there or that got you here, essentially. And why this is so important in the self-development space is because you're not going to be able to fully live into and manifest the life that you truly want to live if you're stuck worrying about what situation made you feel a certain way or who caused you to have the beliefs that you currently have about your life. Taking radical responsibility for your own life and your own circumstances forces you to let go of the blame. It forces you to let go of trying to hold things against other people. Because ultimately, all that does is gives your power away to these other individuals or these other situations when ultimately it is within your control. You have the power to change your current situation. You're the only one who has that power. And so when you're stuck in this place of blame and holding things against other people for situations that occurred in your life, you're giving that power away. It's almost as if you think that they're somehow responsible for making the changes that need to happen in your life moving forward, when ultimately you are the only one who's responsible for that. You're the only one who's able to make those changes in your life moving forward. Now, I do want to clarify that I am not saying in any way that you can't feel upset or hurt or angry about the things that have happened in your life, especially situations that may have occurred in your life that were completely outside of your control, which is pretty much everything that happened in our lives during our childhood, because we had very little control over the situations that were occurring around us in our lives during that time. You're a human, and it's only natural to feel upset or feel angry or frustrated or hurt by things that may have happened in your life. So I am not in any way saying that it's not natural or that you shouldn't have emotions or feelings around these situations or around these aspects and development of beliefs that have happened in your life. You're a human, and that is completely natural to have those feelings. And it's important to acknowledge those feelings and accept them and truly feel them. Feel the feelings. Allow yourself to be angry or hurt or frustrated or upset about these things that happened. That is completely natural. It's also important to work through those feelings in a healthy way so that you can come out the other side of it and take responsibility for your current situation, your current life, in order to make the changes that you want to make in life. Because ultimately, trying to change things in your life while you're still stuck in those feelings or stuck in that place of blame or holding things against other people, it's going to be an uphill battle, and it's going to make things 10 times harder to do. It is incredibly difficult to try to change your beliefs or change the circumstances of your life if you're still stuck in blame or hurt or frustration or sadness or fear around any of your current beliefs or patterns. So, if you're someone who has decided that you would like to make some major changes in your life, I highly encourage you to first start with taking stock of where you are currently, and then taking radical responsibility for your current circumstances, your current life situation. Because once you're able to fully recognize that you are the only one responsible for your current situation, then you're able to fully realize the power that you have to make the changes that you want to make in your life. And that is when things really start to happen for you. When you take that radical responsibility and you understand that you and only you can make the changes that you want to see in your life, then you're completely free to start making whatever changes you want to make. You realize the power that you have in your own life. And of course, as always, if you're ready to make some big changes this year, if you have made that decision that you're going to change your life and that you are going to redefine what success means for you in your life, let's chat. My private one-on-one mentorship is fully customized to your unique situation and goals. I am there to support you and guide you every single step of the way, even if, and especially if, we're starting with taking radical responsibility for your current situation. All right. Well, that's everything I have for today. I am going to go hang out with my kids a little bit more before they have to go back to school, hopefully tomorrow. And I will see you back here, same time, same place next week. That's it for another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you found it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that by liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel or rating and reviewing the podcast wherever you're listening.